Welcome to Inside the Audition, the podcast where we go behind the scenes for a deep dive look into the world of auditions. I'm Joe Lars Larson, creator of Actors Audition Club, an international community helping actors book your dream roles in TV, film, and theater.
And I'm Brandon Knox, actor, producer, and co-host. Each episode, we chat with actors and industry professionals to share their audition experiences, insights, and advice.
We provide actors with actionable tips, strategies, and resources to help you elevate your auditions.
We demystify the often intimidating and misunderstood world of auditions to help you succeed.
So whether you're just starting out on your acting journey or you're a seasoned pro, join our Actors Audition Club members as we go Inside the Audition.
Oh, hey there. I didn't even realize the podcast was on. I was just here doing my shoulder thingies. Yeah, just here nonchalantly working the buys, blasting the guns. Do you know, Brandon, which way is the beach? Is it this way or that way? What are you doing? You're just over there sitting, huh?
Yeah, just sitting.
Guys, look at
Apparently
this.
not being as active as you.
Well, it's okay, because the reason I'm doing it is because we have a special episode today. Our guest today is also my fitness trainer, and his specialty is working with actors on their on-camera or on-stage body transformations. So that's why I'm doing this.
Oh, okay.
But I should. Maybe I should. I could cut down my gym time and my podcast time by I could do like 1,000 reps. Maybe I should do that. I'm just going to start doing biceps. I'm going to see how many bicep curls I can do for a full podcast. Here we go. How many do you think I can do?
Should I bring out our guest or?
No, I'm going to do 1,000 of these first, and then we're going to bring out the guest.
All right.
But not until you guess how many you think I can do.
1,003.
Okay, you're for sure way under. You're way under, but that's the closest. Okay. Our guest today, he's a recent graduate in 2021 from Toronto Film School. He's an actor in television, film, theater, and he's also my personal trainer. As I mentioned, he works specifically with actors on their fitness and health transformations. And I've recently hired him to be my 90-day trainer and probably beyond. Let's give it up. Welcome to the studio, Francis Defour. Oh, I stopped doing my curl. There we go.
Nice girls. I gotta say, you're a quick learner, Joey.
I'm going too. I know that I'm going too fast, but that's just for camera to look cooler. I should be going slower.
Yes, time under tension,
especially on the descent.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. And 1,003. Brandon, you were spot on. I did.
Yeah.
I'm poached. I'm going to put them down now. Carefully. There we go.
Yes, you keep getting warm there. Stabilize the spine.
I feel pretty good. Well, welcome, Francis. You're actually in the office of the gym. You've got a day of training at the Gymbo.
Yes. We're at 235 Queen Street East. We're called OBF Gyms. Right now, I'm mainly the program coordinator, so I make sure everybody is taken care of, and they get the best program based on their needs and all that. So I work on both sides. Also work as a trainer and all that, but I also work in sales and helping people solve their problems and making the right decisions, because we all have these mental blocks sometimes, or these false beliefs that are keeping us from being our best selves. So I love to use these persuasion.
Love it. And speaking of making great decisions, anyone who's watching us or listening to us right now, live on Facebook, live on YouTube, make sure to share this out. Stick around to the end as well, because Francis has got a little giveaway that'll help you get closer to your fitness and health goals. He's got a little goodie at the end that he's going to give away. But first, Francis, we always kick these off with something called the 1 minute life story. Brandon's going to throw 60 seconds up on the clock, and you have that time to tell us Francis Defour's 1 minute life story starting now.
All right. Well, as you can tell, I'm a French guy. I grew up in New Brunswick. All my life, I was into sports. I played hockey, started at the age of 4. I was always active. I was kind of like a cool guy, but not the most popular guy, so I was still kind of like, the clown at class. But so, I was not really the most popular guy, but I was, doing relatively well as far as the athletic world and, making friends, connections and all that. And sort of got this epiphany after university. I thought that kinesiology is cool and all that, but it's not really what I wanted to pursue. Acting was always on the back of my mind. So I got a door-to-door sales job. I made a bunch of cash, and then I moved to Toronto, went to Toronto Film School. And then the rest is pretty much history. And right now, I'm finding that balance. Balance is not really the best word, but I'm trying to find a lifestyle where I can do what I love, make money, and then focus on acting at 100%. So here I am, Francis Defour.
Ding, 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 ding. That was spot on. 60 seconds. Brandon,
Well,
have we had someone do it so precisely? That was solid.
that was very solid.
I like
very
that.
well done.
And interesting, I don't know if we talked about all this, Francis. We have some similarities. We are both we both have kinesiology degrees that we never used. Did you ever use your? I mean, you are using yours now in the fitness space, but technically you wouldn't need a kinesiology degree to do what you do right now. Neither did I. Yeah, I never used it, and not only that is after kinesiology, I went to Western. My first job was door-to-door sales. It was like coupon books, like very similar. I literally read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And in that book, one of the things they say is it's a good thing to learn some sales skills. No matter what you're going to do, if you can learn some sales skills, that's a thing that applies to all areas of your life. So like, okay. And I did door-to-door. What was your door-to-door thing?
Oh, I was working for, I guess I could say the company. I was working for Bell selling internet and
Gotcha.
cable TV. Yeah.
Business to business or residential?
No, B2C. Yeah, residential.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's to anyone who's ever done that type of sales is like there's a certain breed of people that it works for. And then like a lot of people quit the first day, the second day. You got to be used to hearing a lot of no's. That's the thing that it really does apply to the acting world and even in my stand-up world. I did 10 years of sales, and it was like that. First of all, talking to strangers, meeting new people, having charisma to make an instant connection, but then to hear no a bunch, but be able to make your day on the 1 or 2 out of 10 or whatever the ratios are, whatever the numbers are. You didn't need that many, and you would have that mentality of the next no gets you closer to your yes. And I'd be like, do my thing. No. Okay, good. I got to run to the next place to get the yes. They just drop you off in the middle of a neighborhood too. Was that it? And you're just a lone ranger?
Oh no, I had the luxury of my own car.
Oh, wow.
That what they did to you? They would drop you off and
yeah, we would go to like the office, and then they would pile us in a van, and then they would take us to our like neighborhoods, and then like the team leader would come and rescue us at the end of the day. Maybe that's only because I didn't have a car at the time, though. Maybe there were people who had cars and they were driving to neighborhoods. So I might have just been mooching rides. So that's interesting that we have that similarity. And then what? Let's take it back. What prompted you to make the shift from kinesiology to Toronto Film School? And maybe the first question I have is what's your first performance ever? Did you do something as a kid that stuck with you in school?
Well, I started improv in grade 4, and I was terrible, but it was still very fun. And after that, growing up, I kind of want to, theater is for not so cool kids. So I was kind of like putting on a facade, but every time I would watch a play in high school, I was like, It'd be cool to be up there.
It's because
So-
you were a jock. You were a jock, so you had to be either you were a theater nerd or you were a jock. You couldn't really be both in any school because there wasn't time, but two, it was different people, different cliques. That's interesting. That's funny.
But at university on my first year, I kind of got interested. There was a theater committee, and so I just put my name in there, and I joined. I was the first to arrive. It was just this guy sitting on the floor. It was like, "Is this the theater committee?" I was like, yeah. And then I think we ended up being 5 or 6, and they were all sort of the nerdier kids I saw from high school because I come from a small town, so we all knew each other.
Right.
These were
They were
like
all the kids that you stuffed into lockers the semester before.
yeah. So they were all like the sort of less uncool kids. I never bullied anybody, but they were my friends, but I got to know them, and we started working on a play. But the sad thing is, eventually, all of these guys, because they were all friends, and I was sort of the outsider by myself, they all just gave up. It's like, oh, the exams are too rough. We're just gonna bail. That was 1 month before the play, doing the play live. I was so excited, but they had to shut down the whole thing. So I was kind of like, well, there goes my chance. And so,
What play was it?
Oh, it was like a French. I was playing like a thief. I can't remember the name of the play, but it was like French, not so popular like play like Hamlet or Shakespeare stuff. But,
Do you remember a line from it at all?
Oh no, it's been like 5 years, but I think I remember a line. I was like very angry, and I was like to slam on a table, and was so like not organic. So I was struggling with that, trying to be mad, and I was like, struggling at something made me want to do it even more, if that makes sense. I don't like sucking at something.
Right.
So, but yeah, I kind of got discouraged, not discouraged, but I moved to another city to keep my studies going. Didn't really focus on acting then, but I did apply to I did search online for like a film school, or because I was interested still. And I found Toronto Film School. I put my email there, my number. They gave me a call, but back then my English wasn't that great. And when they called, it's almost like I didn't really convey my interest well, or it's kind of really an awkward phone call. So I think they just gave up on me, and I never heard from them again. But a year later, I guess they followed up with some previous leads. So I was there, and I was right in the middle of my door-to-door shift. And, didn't think too much of it because it's been 2 years since I called them. And I saw on my phone it's Toronto Film School. I'm like, should I pick up? And, I think they tried 3 times because I didn't pick up the first time. I was busy, on my door-to-door job. And yeah, I just finally answered. They kind of convinced me to learn more about the school, what they have to offer. And yeah, basically took the plunge, auditioned, and then I got in. And yeah, the rest, I guess, is history. So it kind of took me back, it reached back to me the acting world, and here I am still pursuing it. Yeah.
That's so interesting. First of all, that your very first play, just the whole thing collapsed, and so everyone but you quit.
Yeah, I was committed. I was ready.
Hilarious. I want to write a play about that, like where that's the play, where by the end, on the night before, everybody quits. And then you're just left, but it doesn't get canceled. You just have to do the whole play.
Yeah,
every character. Yeah,
it just becomes a one-man show where you're playing all the characters because it's like you and the drama school teacher. It's just you guys. So I'm also fascinated by, you apply, you kind of get the soft rejection, or in show business, kind of no news is a no. They're not calling you back to be like, hey, we're declining you. So you don't hear. 2 years later, what action? And then you almost don't even answer the phone call. That's such, like, that's not, I'm big on like metaphors in life, but that's not even a metaphor. That was just like literally acting called you on the phone and
Yeah.
you were like, should I pick up? But you did pick up. So what caused you to decide to do that and then decide to actually enroll? I'm assuming it's not cheap as well. How much money did you have to save to have enough to enroll and move to Toronto?
Yeah, that was a lot because it's more of a, I guess, a private school. And I guess what made me pick up, despite me doing so well in door-to-door sales, I had this sort of thought, after the first time they try to call, it's like, do I want to be doing this for the rest of my life, knocking doors? Like, and it's like, you only have so much time on this earth, right? And you might as well do something you have interest in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so many people, they just go through the motions, right? They have their survival jobs. They never really focus on acting at 100% because their job is soul sucking them, right? And so it's, yeah, I guess I just had this epiphany, and that's why I picked up the phone and like, I think I want to give this a shot. I was still young. I was like 22 at the time, 23, just out of university. And I think, I was in my 20s where I sort of realized that I want to try so many things. I want to try a lot of stuff. Because even before that, I tried to enroll in the Air Force. I tried to be a pilot. I actually did some testings and all that, and it didn't quite work out. Because you should have seen those tests that they made me go through.
Oh, I bet.
Brain exploded.
I can't be a pilot because I'm colorblind. So right
Oh.
away, I'm cut off.
Yeah, that's a tough one, vision and stuff.
If
But I
you
mean, colors. I don't know why colors is a big denominator. I don't know.
shouldn't be now. I'm sure it's just all AI. You're just flying a drone, anyways. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
The robots. I don't even think they have guys. Like pretty soon, you probably chose properly because I think it's just all going to be drones. What do they need a pilot for? Just the pilots at home playing like Xbox.
Yeah.
So you enroll in Toronto Film School. Let's talk about your favorite experiences there. What classes did you gravitate to? What final product? I know that you end up usually shooting something. Depending. What's cool about Toronto Film School is they have people there that are in crew, want to be directors, want to be DOPs and sound people, and behind the scenes or on crew. And then you got a bunch of actors. So then by the end, you guys are making a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hands-on for the first 2 semesters. And I really liked, I'm more of a camera guy. I love acting on camera as opposed to, I still like theater, but I was more leaning on the camera side. John Tench, an amazing teacher, he was one of my favorite there. But, that was in 2019 in October, and we all know what happened a few months after.
So you had enrolled and then mid school.
Yeah, 2019, and then 2 semesters. That was April 2020, and then boom, done, over. We're all online now on Zoom.
Right.
So for 12 months, I was basically, all my classes were online. They were pretty good the way they adapted to it. I mean, we had the options to defer, but I'm like, no, let's just keep going. I'm glad I did, despite there's a few things I won't talk about, but we still learn how to audition on Zoom, using that medium, using the space, the camera effectively. We still learn about the writing aspect of it, and so I still learned a lot. It's just that it would have been great to having this networking aspect with the crew members you mentioned, and having access to equipment and shooting our own short films at the final semester. So that was a bit of a challenge, but I'm grateful for having kept going, and also there.
Yeah, that the whole world had to do that. Had to shift to online, and Brandon and I both work with Tom Todoroff and his weekly classes. I did their conservatory, which was online. It was during COVID too, so it had already started when I enrolled, so I knew what I was getting into, but we didn't know if we would be going back to in person at all. But really, it ends up you end up learning how to do things the way the world is now doing it. So without jumping on board, like think of actors. There's still actors who are like, oh, I hate Zoom auditions and Zoom it freaks me out and I don't know how to do them, and they haven't figured out the tech and they don't have a good home setup and they're just frustrated and frazzled and like really spooked. And it's at some point you gotta hop on board with the future and move with the way the tides are moving. Cool. So let's talk. I want to talk. This being Actors Audition Club, let's talk a little bit about some of your audition experiences and your audition process. So you can talk about either or. Dealers and viewers at home. I see you on Facebook, and actually, I don't see you. I know you're there though. I sense you hiding in the bushes. Make sure to comment and ask questions to Francis, especially if you have any questions about fitness and nutrition. Towards the end of the episode, we're going to talk about Francis's work in fitness and nutrition, specifically working with actors for their on-camera transformations. And make sure to share this out right now to your network of friends. So just smash that share button right now while you're listening. So tell us about a favorite audition experience, or actually, no, we've got audition process up there. Tell us about your audition process.
Okay. First of all, I like to simplify everything. There's always sometimes we like to complicate everything, and there's only so many hours that we have to prepare for an audition. I'm not going to start doing method acting for an audition. So it's all about, I love to establish first of all, knowing sort of your brand, your essence, and all of that. Some people like to stay away from that. They don't like to have a specific, being associated with a certain thing. But I think finding your way in could be very valuable.
Sure.
And it's just basically every audition is just a version of yourself in a different circumstance. But first of all, I love to read the scene or, the script a lot of times, because I do have an accent. I do have a French accent. So saying things over and over and over kind of reduces that a little bit if they happen to be looking for more of a American accent. So I like to work on that and finding a goal, right? If you have no goal, what's the point of the scene? Right? So finding a goal, but not so much of a goal that doesn't have a clear, vision behind it. When you say find out more information, that's not really a goal. So if let's say you establish a goal that is sort of wishy-washy like that, I'd like to say, so that I, and then answer a question, and then so that I, and then eventually it comes to a tangible goal.
Yeah, you're talking about being specific, which is a great way to, as Tom says, specificity kills cliche.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a lot of people do that where they're like, oh, I'm in a fight here, or who are you talking to? My girlfriend, versus saying, my girlfriend that I really, really love. We've been together for 7 years. I met her here. I met her there. And I love this thing about her specifically, being that specific in relationship and also into your wants and your desires and what you're fighting for in a scene. That's great.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
you're speaking our language, Francis.
What's that?
I said, you're speaking our language despite the French accent.
That's true. And also, these punctuation and these could be traps, at times. And you really gotta, is there a purpose to that comma? Is it really serving my goal? And sometimes, using these commas or these dots or these dashes, they can make a performance the casting directors or people watching your tapes, they see a lot of the same stuff, and part of it would be following these commas and these punctuations. So, or these exclamation point where you raise your voice, and so paying attention to that, seeing if you can read the same words but differently. And the character descriptions are not for you to obey. This is just for the writers to, just they just write that based on the script, but that doesn't mean you have to follow that word for word. It's just to give you a sense, but you don't have to be that way at 100%. You can still serve the story in your own way. So that would be a good one. And obviously on your goal, there's different strategies. If you're a kid, you want ice cream, you ask for your mom. Maybe you're gonna cry at first, and maybe you're gonna do a guilt trip. Maybe you're gonna be nice. There's different strategies, right? You can implement it to serve that goal. And in between your lines, you have what we call transitional thoughts, which could be, because when we talk to somebody, when I'm talking to you, Joey or Brendan, there's thoughts in my head. I'm thinking of things. It's not like I'm just saying words. I'm thinking of, some certain things. If I hate you, but I'm trying to be nice, maybe after my line, I can add like, you motherfucker.
Right.
And then you don't say these words, but thinking about it could show a side of you, and the camera reads that.
Yeah, subtext. Yeah.
The subtext is huge. And, maybe putting a button at the end of the scene. But yeah, just playing the scene differently, taking a risk. Nothing wrong taking risks. And then, go from there. But yeah, I like to keep things simple and, having my take on it, and just having fun. If you don't have fun, usually it's going to translate in your take. If that wasn't fun, if you didn't enjoy that, it may be boring when you watch it. So just have fun, man. Yeah.
Brandon, what's Tom say, Brandon?
If you're not fun, you're done.
You're done.
If you're not fun, you're done. Well, Brandon and I can both talk about this. I love everything you said. In an overarching theme, most of what you said was involving empowering you as the actor. Like, it was deciding what you want, throwing out punctuation and some of the unnecessary stage directions and making it your own. That's what we always talk about. Like, we're taught and share with others when we get a script. Usually when we write it out without any of the punctuation and removing most stage directions, like he sighed, or he raised an eyebrow, or he rolled his eyes, or he sat down, he stood up, or those kind of things that aren't like absolutely necessary. To take that out of there, knowing your brand, knowing who you are, making it you, all that stuff is great. And you have I can already tell, for someone like relatively new. When did you graduated from Toronto Film School in 2021? So still fresher in the industry. The way you think about auditions is going to serve you very, very well. And I'm not just saying that just because you think the way we do. I think.
But that was a really good point. You said sigh. People start a tape. Everybody.
Nobody does that in real life. Yeah.
You kill your energy right there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you guys do this at the studio, but just having, you press record, but you just add sort of conversation with your scene partner and kind of amp yourself up and find that trigger that puts you in that high mood, and then you start the scene.
Yeah, that's a great episode. Little moment for. Yeah. Sometimes like people will often use some kind of Meisner exercise, a little back and forth to get into it, to reach whatever that heightened state needs to be. I love that you said buttons as well, because adding a little button so that you get your last line, or maybe a last look, or something physical, just means that you're empowered as a performer and as a creator, versus some people being afraid, like, oh, well, the last line in the scene was their line. It's like, who cares? Just say what would, if they didn't yell cut, what would the next thing that you would say be? Throw that in there.
Yeah.
Great. Anything you want to add to his process there? That was great, Francis. I love everything you said.
Yeah, it was really great. You have a very strong grasp of this, and like it's fantastic to see. And on it, a lot of times, most people don't know what a button is. So the fact that you know what it is and you know how to implement it, fantastic.
Yeah, and what you just said there is like the moment before too, and talking about amping up into it, so that you're not. What you don't want to see is, you don't want to see the actor turn on like, I'm getting ready to act and now I'm acting. Like you just want to see them in character from the get-go, right?
Also having the transitional thoughts as well is a huge plus. Mapping out thoughts during a script is one of the most important things that you can do to really up level your auditions in any performance that you're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
And in Todorov speak, we might link that to guidepost 6, which is discoveries. So having those discoveries in the moment, it's not all pre-planned. You're feeling things and thinking things and reacting to things that the other person said in real time, and having those actual, like, they say something, you have an actual thought, and then your words come out, or you say your words and then have a thought about what you just said, but actually in real time. So it seems like actual real life. Like you said, you were like, I'm talking to you right now, but I'm also thinking other things. And when I'm not talking, I'm thinking other things too. So loading it all up with that. Any fun audition stories you want to share from experiences that you've been through? Positive, negative, stuff that you've botched, stuff where you thought you nailed it.
Well, commercials are always interesting. You know, I had this one where I had to get pizza and a Coke. And I don't know, I think I hate the old pie. I do like a scene where I'm savoring this, I'm eating this pizza, and then it was a pop commercial, so I had this can of pop, and I was savoring the drink, but I was blocking the TV, didn't realize it. My family was watching TV, and then I just had this, I don't know, it was fun to do. I got a call back for that, but I guess as far as good experiences, memories, I mean, I've been out. I just came back in May from New Brunswick, so I was I took I would say a long break from acting and all that, but yeah, I'm just looking to get back in the game now. But as far as like memories and all that, I would say that one. I know it sounds boring, but Zoom auditions. The first time I was very nervous. It's just a co-star audition, right? And then I was playing a cop, and I just had a couple lines, but they were so cliche lines, right? Drop your weapons now, that type of line. So it's like having to come up with, I guess, co-star. We could talk about that. Like co-star sides are tricky. It's like, do you approach it differently from, let's say, a guest star side? Like a co-star, you don't want to stand out too much, because otherwise people will start wondering, well, are you part of this story, or you're just serving that scene in a subtle way? So I guess learning about this audition made me learn that, okay, maybe co-stars, I was pushing it too much. So that was a good learning experience as well.
Yeah, that's a great observation. We talked about that, and we see, everyone at some point, you're getting one-liners, three-liners, where you're the hot dog vendor or the cashier or the taxi driver, where you're not, it's not about you, it's about the lead character, and you're just serving their journey, and you have that moment. So I think long term, you got to be thinking, what is your real goal? Is your goal to be a leading player in a leading in a leading role? And you want to keep your eyes on those prizes. But in the meantime, you also got to start somewhere. And a lot of times it's hard for you to turn down, especially if you're new and you're with a new agent, to be like, oh, no, nothing but lead roles for me, please. That might not work out for you. But Brandon's talking about this. Brandon, you want to talk a little bit about nailing the small roles? You've taken a course specifically on that.
Yeah, I always recommend that people take Lynn Cormack's Nailing the Small Roles class. She's great at dissecting scripts and really taking like something that's maybe one or five lines maximum, and like you don't have anything else to go off of other than those like couple things, and like really making a meal out of it. And it's fantastic. I always recommend that class. Lynn Cormack's Nailing the Small Roles class. I'll send a link.
Awesome.
Yeah. And like, I also find understanding story structure is incredibly important to really nailing an audition. And also nailing what it means to be a co-star and guest star, actor, principal role. And like, depending on what that is and where you are in the story, depending on how long the show or movie or what have you is, knowing that and where the climax is, where you're really just starting out, where you're introducing the problem, where the problem has escalated and it's about to ramp up and it's about to hit that climax, that can really inform how you do auditions. So if your audition does have a page number on it, mark that. Make sure you're looking at that. And like, if it's a 60-minute show, probably going to be about 45 to 60 pages. If it's a half-hour show, probably 30 pages to 22, somewhere around there. And understanding how that is structured will really help you in your auditions in the long term.
Yeah, that's a great tip, Brandon. The pages. And looking at any scene, sometimes when you get 3 scenes, it's like, why are you getting 3 scenes? Because there's an arc in the character. You're talking to 3 different people at 3 different times in the story. So if you're not registering a change in those scenes, change in your relationship to that person, and change in you based on the progression of the story, that's a great note. And I think you mentioned, Brandon, it's knowing how your role serves the story in those small little parts. So like, what is this? Why am I here? And then there's the more fun part, like in any role, often, whether it's small or bigger, you never get all the information. So then it's your job, rather than to worry about that, oh, I don't know this, or I don't know that, or what thing am I coming to, or who is that person in relation to me? How long have I known them? That's your job as a creator, to fill in those gaps and just to paint all that, color it all in however you want, and just make bold, strong choices about it, even if it's made up. And they might tell you, hey, that actually, that wasn't the deal, it was this, and you might get that later. But as long as you've chosen something strongly and made a bold choice, rather than just being wishy-washy. That's what some people do. They're like, I don't know. So they don't really make a choice, and then they don't have any strong opinion. They have no perspective. The scene ends up missing something because they haven't made it a choice. Yeah. Yes. Great note. What else do I want to ask? Dream role. What do you aspire to, Francis? If I were to look at your like dream board for acting, what's on there?
Oh man, that's a good one. Probably something related to, obviously action. I do have sort of a plan of the things I want to get more into, like learn more about stunt driving, or shooting guns. And I'm doing martial arts right now, so I'm just kind of like setting myself up to be this cool, suave action guy that but an element of adventure as well, and light humor. And I could think of something like Uncharted, which was one of my favorite video game franchise, or being a part of a cool project like obviously Call of Duty is pretty big. So I always like these military type of voice on the comms, when they talk. I think it's so cool. Maybe it's just a nerd side of me, but I kind of like these things. Obviously I love also like thrillers. So being, part of a project that is, that creates a lot of discussion, after watching it. I try to think of movies that make me feel that way. Like obviously Nolan's movies are always, sorry about that. Or have you watched a bit of David Lynch's movies, like Blue Velvet and Lost Highway? And
I haven't seen, no, I actually, he's one that I haven't seen much of it. Brandon?
No, I haven't seen much of David Lynch's career, to be honest.
They're very weird. Like they're very out of, it's like the dialogue at times, and just the way scenes, the way it's happening. So I just want to be a part of non-generic projects, because right now it's remakes and a bunch of stuff that there's recycled, which I understand. it's a business. They want to make money and they want to make what's familiar to make the buck. But I'd like to be a part of a project that sort of creates, discussions, or it's for a good cause, and So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, totally. No, I think that's great. I mean, you want to be involved. You want to work with artists and create things that are totally unique.
Yeah.
Is there an actor that you would like to work opposite of?
Oh, well, many actors. I wish Paul Newman was still alive.
Oh yeah. Did you see the documentary about him?
No, is there?
Ethan Hawke just made a documentary about Paul Newman's entire career.
Oh wow, I have to watch it.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, but I heard on. I was listening to Armchair Expert, which is Dak Shepard's podcast, and Ethan was a guest on that, and they talked a lot about Paul Newman and his movie star Hollywood career. Yeah,
wow,
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he is alive with AI. You can be in an AI movie with him. There you go. Yeah. Everyone's trashing AI, but you're gonna get a chance to act with Paul Newman.
Yeah, AI, it's a touchy subject. I'm sure you guys talk often about that, and with the deal they're trying to settle for with SAG and the strike and all that. And
yeah, we're seeing it play out in real time right now.
Yeah. But people were freaking out in 2000 with the internet.
Right.
We're still good. We're still fine. So maybe it's just an overreaction of this phase that we're in right now, which is AI. As long as, I think the human connection is important. And, I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. Like, yeah, maybe sitting in your living room and typing, write me a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Tom Cruise, going on a treasure hunt, whatever, and then it
With
creates by itself.
And Mickey Mouse. Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about this the other day, and it seems like there'll be a divergence, like there obviously a proliferation of AI things, just like there was a proliferation of CGI or animation and that sort of thing. Like it's a new technology. And then there may be people that are like, oh, this movie's verified human, where like the blue checks will now be to say that you're human and not a cyborg or AI or any of that stuff. Like this is original. There was blood. There was actual blood, sweat, and tears, not just bits and bytes in this one. So I want to talk about, we could talk about AI and state of the industry forever, but we can just see that happening on the news right now. But I want to talk about how we met. So we met, I don't know how we actually first connected. I don't know if you followed Actors Audition Club or I followed you or how that happened. But what I started to realize when I saw you on, I think, Facebook and or Instagram, was that you were a fitness trainer, personal trainer, and you worked in the fitness and health space, but you were marketing and speaking directly to actors versus saying, hey, world, I'll help any of you get healthy, which I thought was very smart to talk to people directly in not only for them, like you're speaking their language, but also for you wanting to work more in the acting industry. Who you're going to work with? You're going to work with actors, and that's how we've come in contact with each other. So I've recently enrolled in a 90-day transformation with you that started July 14th.
Yes.
Like, was that right? Yeah, because a little backstory. I've had ups, like most people throughout their lives. I've had ups and downs, peaks and valleys, where I've been in great shape and then I've been in really shitty shape. Probably as an adult, my weight was my most unhealthy, which was like 2 years into doing stand-up, I was 300, maybe 305. I'm 6'3", so I carried it well, but that was the biggest I've ever been. But that was late night McDonald's, late night pizza, lots of beer and booze at stand-up shows and after bar. And then in the morning when you're hungover, what do? You get greasy breakfast. So that was kind of like my low point. And then it's been ups and downs since then. And I recently had been in one of those downs where I'm not in terrible shape, but didn't have a regular workout routine. My eating was all over the map. Like I was didn't really have any kind of like nutrition plan, and was eating not horribly, but not good or consistent. Like there was just, it was all haphazard. So I was just realizing that I'm sliding down a slippery slope, and I'm 45, so I don't want to get worse in health as I get older. I want to get better. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to reach out to Francis, and I'm going to learn about his program. I'm obviously an actor, so your programs are geared towards actors, helping us get better, in better shape for on camera and for on stage, but also energy wise. That's one thing that I really liked about your mentality, was that you're not just let's get jacked, let's get jacked, let's get jacked. Like it's about food, and it's about rest and sleep and proper nutrients and all that kind of stuff. So July 14th was the start date. October 14th will be 90 days. For listeners at home, this is Francis's first appearance on the podcast, but we're going to have you back at the end of the 90 days. We have, I'll let a teaser here. We have some incredible before pictures. I just might add, where I had to take before pictures, shirtless before pictures. You know, I don't know if any of you have ever been out of shape, but for me, when I'm out of shape, I don't like how I look. So I'm like, it's tough. You want to love yourself at the same time, but also realize like, I don't like that. But I also had fun in those before pictures. So we've got some hilarious before pictures coming at you, but that'll be in October. So today, let's just talk about your program, talk about what you put me on, talk about your philosophy, and what you would specifically offer to actors in the nutrition journey. Because some people might be saying, with fitness and nutrition for an actor, well, they might be like, well, who cares whether I'm an actor? It's the same. I'm a human, so a human body is a human body. But what do you do to tailor and specify the programs for actors?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's, finding a program that allows them to stay consistent. Because if you can't be consistent, I mean, you're not going to see results. And time is a value. So you finding a plan that allows actors to not having to go to the gym 5-6 days a week. Because the fitness industry is preaching a lot of move more, eat less, be in a calorie deficit. That's how you're going to get there. And, you got all these Weight Watchers and these Jenny Craig diets, keto, vegan, paleo, carnivore, all of these, these diets that promote the restriction of either calories or a certain macronutrient. And the reality of it is that you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do that at all. You got to find a way that it's going to make it sustainable for you, that works for you. If it's vegan, fine. We're going to make it work that way. But don't try to jump from train to train just because it's the next new shiny object. Or just like when you scroll on Facebook, make money online now with this new tool. Everybody wants the quick fix. This is what I'm noticing. I've been there. I wanted to, I've done drop shipping. I've tried many things to make more money online. The same goes for fitness, right? With all these new trends. So I love to simplify everything, just like I do with my auditions, 2 to 3 times per week, and because if you can't, strength is king, in my book. Doing all this cardio and this, cutting carbs and all that, it's probably one of the last tool I would use for, let's say, fat loss, for example. But as far as, strength training, if you want to develop this sort of movie star look, which, if you're a man, it would be, a nice shoulder to waist ratio. You gotta have to reach a certain body fat percentage to have this sort of movie star lean look, which is, close to that 10%. For some, it needs to be a little bit lower, so 8 to 10%. Sometimes you can go all the way to 12%. But it's important to have a plan, because when you get to that body fat percentage, it's kind of tough to maintain long term. And you got auditions to take care of. There's seasons that are busier. You want to stay sharp in your craft, and if you have all this mental fogness and you can't concentrate, that could be part of the lack of nutrient you've been having, being in a caloric deficit for too long and dieting for too long and doing these HIIT trainings for 5-6 days a week and pushing, not sleeping so well, staying up late at night, eating processed foods that raises your inflammation, makes you, you have food sitting in your stomach, and you go to bed, you're still digesting, you don't get into that deep sleep. You raise your cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone. And when your body is stressed, if Joey or Brendan, if you're running from a bear, you're not thinking about losing body fat. You want to survive. The same goes for that. If you keep not resting well, you push yourself too much, you undereat or overeat, that just raises your cortisol levels. You hold on to more body fat, especially in the midsection. That affects your mood, your energy. I know a lot of actors who are stressed and anxious all the time. The business is already stressful as it is. Why would you want to add stress to your body? Right? It just doesn't make any sense for me. So first, we got to address those lifestyle habits. So working on, rest. So finding ways to optimize your sleep quality so that you can wake up more refreshed. Optimizing your hormones, which comes from managing your stress levels, working on a certain nutrition protocol that is in line, with your goals and what's your current lifestyle, because everybody's different, right? Finding a workout plan that allows you to work on your weaknesses. Everybody is at different fitness levels. So, making sure that we have good form initially, working on motor control, like you were doing your bicep curls earlier, slower on the way down.
Yeah.
Things like that. So time under tension is really important, because if you can, build that neural drive, which, everything comes from the brain, well, then it's easier for you to connect, the muscle you're working on. And then it becomes easier to generate more strength. And then, there's phases where, you got to make the muscle bigger, which is hypertrophy in the 8 to 12 rep range. But once that's bigger, it can become stronger. So that's when we can include a phase where we go way lower in reps. So 3 to 4 reps, and really work on elevating the load, generating more strength. If you have more strength, then you can generate more hypertrophy. So having these phases every 4 to 6 weeks to switch things up, and building your relative strength so that you can get also lean, keep your strength, and that's where you really get that movie star body, the movie star look. But also I want to give you the tools so that when you prepare yourself for a shoot, exactly what to do so that you don't burn yourself out. And after that, let's say you just want to maintain and roll off for a while, just to maintain your energy levels and stay energized. And then when you book a gig, maybe you're 2-3 weeks out from being your tip top shape, so that it's very easy to maintain and keep those good habits. So I know this was a lot of information, but that's really is my philosophy, and yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. And again, what I love is it's holistic. You're not just prescribing me a workout and saying take all these supplements and just go get jacked. It is about looking at it holistically and energetically, making sure I got the right amount of sleep, making sure I got the right amount of nutrients. So to explain to people at home how it worked when I met you, we met in person to just talk about my goals and to go over what I want out of this. I think you had sent me a questionnaire, like an onboarding thing, talking about my goals. So all the information that you needed. And then really you just set me up with some documents in a Google Drive, real simple. The biggest thing for me throughout all this is just actually tracking and measuring. It's you hear that term, you can't improve what you don't measure. So you need actual results. So I know a lot of times if when we're not feeling great about our health and fitness, maybe we avoid the scale, maybe we avoid calorie counting. You don't want to be obsessive about it, like you were saying, but you want to be aware of it at least, and have some awareness. And I find when I'm tracking things, everything else is simple. So like now in my day, I have, just to share a couple things, you suggested just a step, like part of my routine every day is making sure I get at least 10,000 steps, which is just an easy way to move get some fat burning, very low level. It's not really cardio, I guess, but it's a little bit low cardio, I suppose. What's that app called? I'm looking for it right now. Pedometer. Yeah, real simple. And
Yes.
I want to show my, I was kind of ticked off because I had a down week step. So in my head, my minimum is 10,000 steps every day. But if I go under, then I know that I got to make up that deficit. So if I did 7,000 one day, I know at one day I got to do 13,000. And then this was Saturday.
Oh, wow.
4,000, baby. So do the steps. I keep track of that every day. And then I have the other app was Chronometer, Cronometer. And that's nutrition, like food tracking. So I measure things out when I make food at home. If I go out, I can usually scan a barcode, or if it's like a chain restaurant, they usually have all the items in here. And you set me out with all my targets, like per day, this is probably what we're looking for calories. This is how much of that should be targeted at proteins. And your plan at the beginning, this first phase is jacking up some of the protein, decreasing some of my carbs, and healthy fats are good.
Because fats, I mean, they're very important for your hormones and, you know, recovering. Because if, let's say, you have a higher body fat percentage, wherever you're at, you know, for male, if you're above, you know, 10 to 14, sometimes, you know, that leads to higher inflammation. And we kind of need to make you a bit more insulin sensitive. And that way, you know, by lowering your body fat percentage, you know, and we work on that insulin sensitivity, then, you know, we'll be able to use more carbs effectively for your training. And that's where you're going to see really things rolling. For female, between 18 to 22% body fat is a healthier range. So if we're above that, we also want to work on this. So I'm not saying I'm pro keto, but in the beginning, if your body fat percentage is above the healthy norm, usually we're more resistant to insulin, which is why, you know, people become pre-diabetic and diabetic in worst cases. So we got to work on that, and then, you know, get yourself down, and then, you know, we're able to use carbs more effectively.
Yeah, when I started with you, within like the first week, 10 days, I dropped 10 pounds. Probably two things. I was moving a little bit more with the walking. Three things: moving more. It's funny how simple it is. Like, everyone knows, what do you move more, eat less shit, like, or move more, eat healthier foods, or like whole foods, real foods, not things that come in a box or come from a factory. And so I dropped like 10 pounds almost immediately. A lot of that would be from water too. I was drinking more. It's funny, when you drink more water, you think that you would gain weight, but your body realizes that you're getting a constant supply of water. So your body realizes that, hey, this guy's getting us water. We don't need to keep it all. Whereas if you're underhydrated, people think, oh, I drink water, like that'll keep me lighter. But if you're underhydrated, your body is like, I have to hold on to every ounce of water that goes into this body because this guy's not drinking enough. I'm gonna, what's it called when you don't have enough water? What's the word?
Well, there's more water retention.
Cut out all the shit that I knew wasn't good for me in the first place. Under the 4 food groups of salt, fat, sugar, and chemicals. And the fats, not that all fats are bad, but a lot of them are bad. So my thing was like late night pizza. I would crush late night pizza. It'd be midnight, and I would just get a pang of hunger. I'm walking distance to 2 or 3 pizza places. One of them's always open. So I would go grab 2 big giant slices of pizza at like midnight, eat them, watch some Netflix, and go to bed. So it was like good night pizza, which feels amazing, but then you don't sleep as well. You wake up kind of groggy, and you got a pizza hangover when you wake up the next day. And what I've noticed is like the whole food. So it's mostly like I'm not currently vegetarian or vegan or anything. So it's fresh chicken breasts, chicken thighs, eggs, fish, ground turkey, that kind of thing, and then vegetables and fruits like blueberries, frozen berries, that mostly berries, some nuts, olive oil as my oil, unsalted, grass-fed, healthy butter. Yeah, and those are like, that's kind of my core things. And what I really noticed when I first started tracking this, and my eating was across the board. Like I didn't know how many calories I was having. I was getting frustrated. I was eating too much out. And in my head, I'm like, it's been so long since I properly grocery shopped and meal planned and made healthy stuff that like I don't even know what to eat. Like between COVID and people you switch to Uber Eats. Like I have no like sense of what I'm supposed to be eating and how much. Like I was kind of lost. I thought that several times of like, even if I wanted to, I don't know what the fuck even to eat right now. And you get so much mixed messages online. This is good, this is bad. Like you hear the mixed messages. So it was tough. But eating whole, real foods versus processed foods, way less. Like today, I actually had for a commercial, I ate some McDonald's French fries for a commercial audition. I ate some McDonald's French fries and also an A&W commercial where I ate a A&W chicken, like a junior chicken sandwich. Aside from that, that's pretty much the only fast food that I've had, like not really eating tons of bread. And what I've noticed in tracking those is it's amazing when you're only eating real, healthy, whole foods, how much you can eat. There was days early on when I was tracking where it was like, normally I'd be like starving and really hungry, which is probably insulin going up and down and blood sugar going up and down, where I'm like, ah, fuck, I gotta eat right now. And then now I'm finding I'll look and be like, oh crap, I'm supposed to eat 400 more calories. Okay, guess I'll go eat some, like, where it's like almost like a treat or a gift, where it's like, ooh, I got 400 calories left. And dark chocolate, that's my like main vice, is when I want some treats, it's just straight up high percentage dark chocolate. But that's made such a huge difference. I feel better, I feel lighter, I feel more energetic, and I don't eat as much shit.
And you know, would you agree that that has impacted your auditioning, because you booked it?
Oh yeah. So fun story. Two things that I want to share. I think you both know this. So the day we meet, you asked me what kind of roles, and I said, well, I want to be in shape so that I could pull off sports roles, or at least X professional roles. Like maybe not. I'm a little older, so I'm not going to be sold as a 20-year-old phenom coming into the league, but as a guy who looks like he could healthily play sports, and also like military, police type roles. And then you asked me, like, who's an actor that you would reference? And I've referenced in the past Chris Pratt's transformation from doughboy funny boy in Parks and Rec to when he started getting jacked for Jurassic Park and get Guardians of the Galaxy. And I'm a big believer in like manifestation and synchronicities. Literally that fucking night after we had that conversation, so I say military roles, Chris Pratt, I get an audition breakdown from my agent for a video game where the role is military, and in the character reference breakdown, there's a fucking picture of Chris Pratt.
I know.
That's perfect. So, and that's such a good lesson that I think more people need to realize is, if there's things that you want and things that you want to be and places that you want to be in your life, start taking the steps to move yourself forward. Like, and another example is, if you wanted to travel, if your dream is to be a world traveler, but you never applied for your fucking passport, you need to go get your passport. And maybe you need to start looking at travel websites or brochures or learning about countries, or maybe you need to get some vaccinations for countries that you need them for. Like, you take all the steps under your own control to move you closer to your dreams and your goals. And then all of a sudden the universe is kind of like, well, you've kind of done half the work, so here's the other half. And it was the same day. Like that it blew my mind. But now in life, it doesn't blow my mind. It's more like, oh, that makes perfect sense. I made the step to invest in myself and some body transformation. And then, so that happens. And then the second thing is like 2 weeks, would it have been? Yeah, 2 weeks after we started together, I book a lead role in an episode of a new series that shoots at the end of August. So I'm like, how fucking perfect is that? Instead of booking it and then being like, oh, I kind of look and feel like crap right now, maybe I'll get in shape for camera. I'm already 2 weeks in when I booked it. then I know I got 3 more weeks to work with you to start looking good, feeling good. You know, they say the camera adds 10 pounds. So I'm like, I got to lose at least 20 then.
Yeah.
So,
No, I mean,
so it's been great. And it's different for everyone, and everyone has their own different goals. But I think where it falls is being your best health, and you want longevity, and you want to live a long life with good energy too. I think that's where it comes down to, not so much how do I look or how much weight I can lift. It's how long am I going to live, and during that time, ideally, most of it's high energy, good energy, because that's really life. Is a lot of times I've had periods in my life where I was probably depressed, but I was like, it was low energy. What marks depression, whether I was a life thing or whether it was shitty eating or I was overweight, and that kind of weights you down, and probably inflamed from eating garbage food. So just everything was heavy, heavy, heavy. But you want like good positive energy, and being on set too, like those long hours and long days, it's real easy for you to throw your food out the window or throw your sleep out the window. So let's talk a little bit about that. Like what advice, I'm going to be on set for a week. So what's some advice for an actor preparing to be on set? How do they manage their energy? How do they manage their fitness, working out maybe in a hotel or a trailer? And how do they manage their nutrition?
Yeah, and it's a good point. You know, you want to put the best chances on your side. You know, your body is your instrument for acting. So, what's the reason for you to not fuel it properly so that you can perform? I mean, would you put this show in a Ferrari? I mean, I don't think it's gonna run that well. It's not gonna drive that well. So, you want to start that foundation. Like you can be the best trained actor, but if you feel like crap, I mean, what's the point? So, you know, and as far as being on set, yeah, there's so many distractions, and you want to be sharp, you want to be on, you want to be mentally focused. So, you know, there's many ways, but you know, you touched on it first on the nutrition side. You kind of want to balance your blood sugar so that you don't have any crashes up and down. But that also doesn't mean that you want to fast all day, because if you do fast all day, well, eventually cortisol levels are going to spike. You're going to be at that fight or flight mode for too long, right? Because you have no food to digest. So if it stays down for too long, sorry, and then let's say you add more coffee and all that, eventually you're going to crash as well. So you still got to balance your blood sugar, and a good way for that was, you know, as far as snacks, you could bring snacks on set. You know, you mentioned nuts. You know, berries are great. They're full of antioxidants as well, so they're good for that. They keep your energy levels high. If you have a sweet tooth, maybe 85, 90% dark chocolate, couple squares. You know, doesn't really spike your insulin that much because there's, you know, it's closer to few ingredients, but cacao is the main ingredient. It's not sugar, added sugar, right? So, and maybe, you know, protein bar or something like that that doesn't have too many ingredients. So as far as snacks, you know, there's that. I wouldn't drink too many coffees, because if you do, it's gonna spike your adrenaline and then it's gonna cause a crash. So I would say stay hydrated, but don't chug water, because if you do chug water, you're gonna run to the bathroom all the time, and then, you know, if you're called in, you're there, you know, it's gonna stress you out. So just take regular sips. Otherwise, you know, it's going to dehydrate you. If you drink too fast, you're just going to pee it out. And, you know, as far as when lunchtime hits, you know, perhaps focusing on protein. So lots of, you know, chicken, red meat, any meat, lean meat, or, you know, there's other sources of protein, of course, you know, if you're more vegetarian, so fish, and so on. And fibers is huge as far as your carb source, because that doesn't spike your insulin as much. So leafy greens, you know, cruciferous veggies, and, you know, if you want to offer a bit of potatoes or rice, you know, if you have a side for carbs, that's fine. Just don't, if you go for seconds and, you know, you go ham on the pasta and you fill yourself with 2,000 calories in one sitting, well, you know, in a couple of hours you will probably get a crash. You will probably feel very tired, and then you'll add a coffee to that, And then an hour after that, you're going to feel even more tired. And, maybe it's your time to hop to shoot your scene after that. And you feel like you're just not in, you're not dialed in. So it's all about, balancing that blood sugar, not eating too much, but also not eating at all, because you're going to get cranky, hangry, right? So balancing all that, and regular stretching. So maybe stretching in your trailer just to keep the blood flowing. Go on walks, maybe every 30 minutes if you feel like you're sitting for too long. Pump yourself up with some music. Just keep yourself in a good mood. If you like to socialize with other people on set and that brings you energy, that's fine. If you like to sit more in your trailer and chill out, listen to music, or focus on your line so that you're not stressed about it, that's fine too. I mean, whatever works for you. But as far as the nutrition side and stretching, water, and all that, that would be sort of my ideal day on set, so that I'm focused.
Love that. Thank you. And you talked about eating on set and eating the craft services. I was super guilty of that, like especially a while back in starving artist mode, where all of a sudden it's like, ooh, I booked work and I get a free buffet, and you're just like loading up on everything. You're getting the big takeouts, like where it's like you in your head, you're like, I want to get my money's worth. Like I'm getting paid and I want to eat $100 worth of buffet meal. I'm eating lasagna and mashed potatoes and 3 kinds of pasta. So yeah, I'm guilty of that. And I'm a big, like a weakness in discipline for me in the past has been just bowls of things lying around. I think that's changed a little bit with COVID, where it's more like pre-seasoned portions, but like bowls of chocolates and bowls of chips and bowls of pretzels. I'm a guy who in the past doesn't walk by that ever without grabbing a handful of it. And then you add that up, it's like, oh, I ate an extra 1,000 calories in greasy potato chips. And then you're wondering why you're falling asleep in the afternoon. So I have had that up and down on set where you're like, I can barely keep my eyes open now, which is not peak performance. So thank you for sharing that. Any other like workout tips for things? Often actors find themselves in hotel rooms or in the trailer.
Yeah, I mean, body weight is always king. If you can do push-ups, any pull-ups and squats, I mean, these are the baseline movement. Also lunging, squatting, maybe doing some planks. These are, you have always access to work your body and use, your body weight to do things. If you have bands, that's great. You can maybe tie it to a wall, do maybe some face pulls, work on your posture, your shoulders. You can do some bicep curls with those bands. You can do some shoulder lateral raises. Maybe, have it in the corner, do some chest flies. There's always ways you could still, work with bands.
Cool. I'll buy bands and bring them up and have them in my hotel or in my trailer. That's great.
Yeah. And, if at your hotel, any clients that, if they show me pictures of what equipment they have access to, I can come up with a quick, workout on the fly, just so that you can do something as far as that. And, as far as hotel food, like if you you're in a couple of days at the hotel before, working, you can always bring like frozen meat and ask if there's a kitchen in your room, and then you could put that meat in the fridge, and then you have actual protein to cook. Or there's ways to bring food if, let's say, you have the option, the luxury to bring it to your hotel room. So things like that. And you don't have to stick with Uber Eats. You could quickly go to Shoppers or Sobeys or whatever Loblaws you have. Just do a quick grocery haul if you're there for a couple of weeks, and stick to the dry stuff, maybe non-perishable stuff. Bring some protein bars, your whey, or any other snacks like I mentioned earlier, just to make things easier for you and maybe less expensive as well. Because Uber Eats now is what, $30, $40?
It's always expensive. Yeah. Brandon, do you have any questions for Francis? Health, fitness questions from the perspective of an actor?
No, I think everything was really answered. All my questions were very well answered. So it sounds like a great program.
we have Francis. You have a document that you sort of your philosophy and of the things that your programs take care of. We're going to share that right now. You want to drop that in the comments for us, Brandon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's a pretty in-depth guide. I mean, it's over 30 pages, I believe.
Yeah, it's
Anything, so anything from these, I call this the movie star lifestyle habits to build upon, like the steps we've been working on, the amount of fibers, the amount of water that you would need, sleep. So there's guys relating to that. So I would advise these would be the first thing to work on that really builds that foundation. And then, we get more deep into how to calculate your own caloric needs. We can dive into to macronutrient, but if you're not quite ready for that, you can just build your meal off of your hands, right? Building portions, just regulating your portions. If you're not quite ready there to calculate on an app and all that. But these options are there. And obviously there's a sample of a workout program with these 3 phases. So muscle endurance at first, then hypertrophy, then more strength based. So there's ways to progress. And as far as training, always go harder than last time. Just keep the slight amount of challenge, leave maybe 1-2 repetitions in the tank. But, always keep that, give yourself some challenge, because if you just go through the motion, it's going to be hard to progress. So, always have a strong why, just like in any scene. Have a why, have a goal, and remind yourself of that. Have a support system. Obviously you can ask me any questions if you have any. But yeah, maybe have a friend or a fellow actor that you could do this with. Community is big, and motivation is sometimes it goes up and down always, but it's going through the good days and bad days that it starts to build that discipline. And then you start craving the hard work, which is that sort of resets your dopamine system. Because right now we have access to dopamine at our fingertips, right? Uber Eats, TikTok, 5-minute reel, 5-second reels, and all that. So that really fries our brain. Just gotta, sometimes we gotta get through the hard stuff and reset that dopamine system, so that we start craving again the hard work, and we feel like we're rewarded from that. So sometimes, yeah.
That's so true. Anytime I've fallen in and out of the habit is when you're out of the habit, it feels like so much work to overcome just the lack of momentum to go to the gym once. And then once you're in a regular habit, your body kind of feels like, I got to go. Like when you don't go for a few days, you start feeling restless and start feeling like that's the habit you're out of. So it does reverse. Now, so thank you for coming on today, Francis. And just to let everyone know, here at Actors Audition Club, a big reason why I wanted to bring you on is we want to provide more value to our members. You've already dropped that workbook, the Movie Star Body Lean Bulk Blueprint. People can download that for free to start getting some free information. But the thing is, all the information is out there. For most people, it's like, it's not really an unlock of like, oh, he gave me the magic potion. It's finding the personal discipline to actually do the work. And for me, I always find that when there's skin in the game. So, and one of our coaches, James Wedmore, he uses the term that transformation begins with the transaction. So yeah, you can look at free guides and free resources and YouTube videos, but the second you actually put your money where your mouth is, then you show up. Like I don't want to invest in Francis's personal training program and then only eat pizza and never go to the gym. That'd be a dumb waste of money. So, but when I don't invest in it, I don't take it as seriously. So when I invest in it, then when I actually measure it and track it, then I set up the systems and process and actually the mental mindset of, oh, I'm in this here. So if someone wants to work closer with you, Francis, what's the best way for them to contact you and reach out to you? And maybe they want to do something like me, kind of a starter 90 day. I feel like 90 days is like kind of the minimum block that you want to work with. You're not going to see too much changes in a week or two or a month. In a month you can, but really 90, I think, is the minimum probably.
Yeah, 90 to even 4 months, I would say, at least 4 to 6 months. Good way to drive that momentum. And my goal is so that you don't need a coach ever again, right? So that you become independent, know what to do, and that way you save your money, long term, save your time. But yeah, you can reach me on my Instagram there. That is below my next to my name.
Underscore Francis Dufour and
Defour.
FrancisDufour, Francis Dufour, or you can reach out to us here at Actors Audition Club.
Yeah.
It's great because we worked with headshot photographers, people who do demo reels, Tom Todoroff's acting conservatory, now working with you. So we're really setting up a community of experts and of resources available so that when someone joins Actors Audition Club, yeah, they have access to all our audition resources and the ability to book and shoot auditions with us, but also access to photographers and demo reel people and fitness people. So thank you for coming on here and being a new part of our promo partners here at Actors Audition Club. And we're a big believer in a rising tide lifts all boats. So yeah, we can help you with your auditions, but if you're not taking care of your body and your energy and you're not putting good food into it, then your body is your instrument. And actors do ideally do a lot of work on voice and speech. But if you do voice and speech without moving and exercise, then there might someday be something missing, or you just don't live as long, or you don't live as long with optimal amount of energy. So I know that's tough for a lot of people. People fall in and out of it, but thank you for being on the show today. And my experience with you has been great. A lot of our work is remote, where I'm sending you text reporting. You're sending me words of encouragement back. We have weekly check-ins where we hop on and look at how the week went, look at my measurements, tweak things, let me know what I can add. And we did start out quite simple, where it wasn't overwhelming in the beginning. People might look at that movie star blueprint and that be overwhelming at first, but we started quite simply with some daily habits and some regular routines that were measured and some check-ins for some accountability and with an actual goal in mind. So I know my goals for October 14th. And this was part 1 with Francis. So we had you on today, and then we're going to have you on in October. We're going to unveil my horrible before pictures for the comedy of it. And then we're going to show the transformation by October 14th. They'll be in I'll have a much different shape and makeup by then. So thank you for being on.
Thank you, guys. It was great talk, very organic and fun. And yeah, if you ever need help, shoot me a message. Like you say, sometimes you got to invest in yourself, and that way you're going to try really hard. You're going to commit. And, if you can just spend 4 months, you could spin your wheels for the next 5-10 years trying to figure it out. But you can solve this issue within a year, in 4 to 6 months, and then have the body so that you can work on your acting career and not having to worry about managing your nutrition and all that with your already stressful career. So I'm happy to help, and yeah, it was a great chat, and I can't wait to see those new pictures.
Thank you. Yeah. And there's no better investment, right? It's like I think back to times where I was skimping on this, like skimping on a gym membership or not wanting to invest, and I'm like, shouldn't you get up every day and invest in the one thing that helps you live another day? Like that kind of makes sense to me. So thank you for all your help. Let's all live a long life to 100, 120?
To live long. Yes.
Live long and prosper. Here we go. Yeah.
All right, guys.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you, Brandon Knox. Any final words? Anyone? Going once, twice, thrice? All right.
Ask and fight for what you want, and say no to what you don't want.
There you go.
Love that. There you
go. And for those of you, let's throw up that banner real quick, Brandon, for the membership. If you're looking to escape the self-tape spiral of stress, you can take the entire Actors Audition Club membership for a test drive for just $1 for 30 days and see what we're all about. And we can help you with your auditions. This has been episode 152 We'll see you next week at Inside the Audition.
Oh yeah.
Bye.